Easter is often described as a day about new life. But if we're honest, many of us don't arrive here feeling very shiny or new. Some of us arrive very tired. Some of us are guarded. Some of us are carrying grief that hasn't lifted. Some of us are unsure of what we even believe anymore. And some of us once felt very much alive, and we have no idea where that feeling went to. So today, instead of talking about triumph, I want to talk about something a little more human. I want to talk about coming back to life, but not magically or suddenly, just the very slow return of aliveness after a season of surviving. There are seasons in life when the goal is not thriving, but simply getting through. And during these times, we do remarkable and necessary things. We numb ourselves, we shrink, we stay busy. In every way, we hold our breath. And here's the part that we don't say enough. Those strategies of getting through are not failures. You do what you have to do to keep yourself alive. Some of us survived homes where love was unpredictable. We survived churches where questions were scorned. We survived relationships where our voice disappeared. Systems that told us who we were wasn't acceptable. So of course parts of you went quiet. Of course parts of you felt like they had to go dormant. Your questions, your voice, your tenderness, your need. Some of us are only alive today because we learned how to bury those parts of ourselves. Easter language talks about the tomb as a place of death, but a tomb can also be a form of shelter, a place where something precious is protected when the outside world is too violent, too much to bear. And when Jesus' body was placed in the tomb, it wasn't because love failed, but because the world had shown how incredibly brutal it could be. Love went where it could finally find some rest. And in our own lives, we also have tomb seasons. We have seasons where our joy grows pale, and so does our trust. Our faith gets packed away in a box. Our dreams may be folded carefully and put up on a hard-to-reach shelf. And if that has been true for you, you should hear this clearly. You did not quit your life. You protected it. And sometimes building a tomb for yourself is the wisest thing that you can do. And I want to tell you about a tomb season in my own life. And for me, and I know I've mentioned this before, but that's because it's something that profoundly affected who I am as I stand here today before you. And that was the 15 years that my husband and I tried to conceive a child and we couldn't. We went month after month and year after year, hope rising, hope absolutely collapsing. We watched other people's lives, everyone's lives, move forward while ours remained stuck and colorless. And slowly, without announcing it, almost without any perception at all, I began to roll my own stone into place. I pulled back from my faith because faith felt like a conversation I was having or trying to have with zero response. Not from my faith community, and definitely not from my God. I pulled back from my husband because we are very different kinds of people, and we were grieving in different ways, and I didn't know how to hold him and myself at the same time. I slept all day, every day. I sat mindlessly in front of a screen every single night. I pulled back from the entire world. I didn't consciously decide to build a tomb, but hope had become a thing that was too expensive to hold out in the open air. And if you have had a grief that has stretched on so long that it changed the very shape of who you are, then you know what I mean. I wasn't dead, but I wasn't alive either. I was entombed. But survival is not the same thing as living. What shields us in one season can suffocate us in the next. The armor that saved your heart can start to weigh it down. And at some point, and it's not something that we get to rush through, the very things that kept you alive might just begin to whisper, it might be time for something more than just surviving. And that whisper can be absolutely terrifying. But what if that stone holding you in is lighter than you remember it? Is there a stone that you insist is immovable, that you haven't tried to push in years? You don't have to face it all by yourself. Grace can meet you there. Community can support you. Love can surround you. But at some point, your hands will have to touch the stone. And they may shake when they do. But no one else has the power to roll the stone away for you. The Easter story says that the stone was rolled away from the tomb and that the tomb was empty. And whether you hear that as history or as metaphor or as just a complete mystery, the image is a very powerful one. Something that was sealed opens. Something that seemed finished is not. And coming back to life looks like very small things. You say what you really think out loud. You set one boundary you've never set before. You let yourself rest without feeling any guilt. You tell someone the truth about how you've actually been. You feel joy for 5 seconds and don't immediately try to shut it down. And resurrection rarely begins with clarity. It begins with just a mere crack of light breaking through. We expect new life to feel powerful, but most often it feels fragile, like a limb waking up after being asleep. And if you've been in a dark place for a period of time, your eyes have to adjust to what feels like blinding light. And when parts of you come back, you may feel unsteady or unsure of who you are now, or you might be grieving time that you lost. But that doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong. It means simply that you're coming back to life and that life has sensation. Some people worry, I should be further along by now. I should have healed already. I should feel more alive than this. But seeds wait. There are some desert seeds that wait decades for one single rainfall. And trees look completely dead before any buds appear. And if something in you went quiet years ago, it doesn't mean that it's gone. Maybe something about this season of your life is different. Maybe there's a little more room to breathe. Resurrection is when the self you buried knocks from the inside, and slowly life senses it might be time. It might be possible now. So, if Easter means anything in a Unitarian church, in a faith that trusts experience as sacred, perhaps it's this: not a demand to believe impossible things, not pressure to feel joy on command, but an invitation to notice. Is there any part of me, any part, that's ready to come back to life? Not immediately, just one honest breath, one tentative choice to let light reach a place that has been shut tight. That is resurrection too. The story says the stone rolled away and life stepped out. Not all bright and clean, just breathing. A beating heart, alive again. And perhaps that's what Easter offers us. Not escape from what hurt us or erasing the past, but the quiet, stubborn return of what is still true about us, beneath the fear, beneath the armor, beneath the years of surviving. The parts of you that went small and still just so you could make it may be ready to come back now so that you can finally live. Sometimes building a tomb is the wisest thing. But when the time comes, the stone can move. Not all at once, just enough for breath to return. And maybe that is how you come back to life.